Today's modern website technology makes it easier than ever to create a beautiful, functional nonprofit website. But it also opens up a whole can of worms of things you could do that'll make your website awful. Hey everyone, I'm Ricardo Ibarra with Market Your Mission, and today I'm talking about the do's and don'ts of nonprofit website design. We're going to talk about all the things that you should be doing, but most importantly, all the things that you should not be doing, not only for your users and your donors, but also to make your life easier. All right, let's get into it. Number one, do not create an inaccessible website. And what about this I mean is don't create a website without considering accessibility. One of the biggest things you can do to improve your website accessibility is to check color contrast. And that means the color of your text against the background color that it appears on. Now it's super trendy to have light colored fonts and words on your website on a light colored background, and that is low contrast. It's really hard for folks with visual impairment, folks who wear glasses like me, or even folks who are colorblind to read your content on your website if you use low color contrast. It's also really challenging for blind or visually impaired users to navigate your website if the color contrast is too low. And here's a free tip. Just Google WebAIM, WEBAIM, that stands for Web Accessibility in Mind. Google WebAIM Color Contrast and you will get an excellent tool put together to check the contrast of various portions of your website. And of course, you should pay attention to color contrast not only on the text on your website, but whether that text appears over images, whether the information is presented on your website in graphical format. Say if you have an infographic on your website as an image, you need to check the color contrast there. A couple of other things to think about when it comes to web accessibility, and don't worry, I'll be doing a whole bunch of videos on this in the future. Another easy way to improve the accessibility of your website is to make sure that the navigation of your site is clear and simple. It doesn't go more than 2 pages deep. So that means in order to find a piece of content on your website, the user should click no more than 2 times to get to that desired page. And then the other thing you can do to improve accessibility on your website is to use headings correctly. You know, in your website builder, you've got that option for headings. Well, most folks use that just to style text. They think, oh, this heading 3 is really pretty because it's all caps locks and it's got this cool loopy scripty thing. That's a technical term, by the way. Well, that's not the correct way to use headings. What we need to do on every web page is make sure that your headings are in numerical order. You remember back in college or high school when you had to structure an essay and you had to write an outline? Well, your headings or the heading tags are what creates the outline of the content on your web page. Now, when screen readers and other assistive device users use their tools to view your web page, they're presented with an outline based on the headings that you've put on that page. If the headings are all jumbled up, if you start with heading 2 and you jump to heading 4 and then back up to heading 3 and then you use a heading 1 and then it's all over the place, there's no logical reading order, which is the terminology. And it's really confusing for users because they're presented with that outline and it doesn't make sense because you're skipping all over the place. Here's the best practice. You do want to use high contrast colors and test for accessibility. So design for accessibility. We're talking about this with color contrast, we're talking about simple navigation, and we're also talking about logical reading order. When you use headings on a web page, every web page should have one H1 tag. That's it. And it should be at the top of the page. It should tell the user what the page is all about. Then you can use heading 2, 3, and 4 tags to chunk your content into sections. So I like to think of heading 2 as a section header. You can have multiple heading 2s on a page, but you need to make sure that they are defining big sections of content as you move down the page, not just because the heading 2 looks pretty or it's bigger than heading 3. Underneath heading 2, of course, comes heading 3. I like to think of this as a paragraph header or a paragraph title. And then heading 4 for little smaller bits. But if you move to a next section, you got to jump back up to heading 2, and then you can use heading 3 for your paragraphs, heading 4 for other smaller pieces of content. Fun fact for you, in the US, the annual discretionary spending of people with disabilities is over $200 billion. So, you cannot afford to design an inaccessible website because you are missing out on a huge portion of the population who could be motivated to support your cause, not only with their discretionary spending, but also with their time and attention. All right, let's move on. Don't think flashy animations and autoplay video will make your website look more modern. Oh my goodness. This drives me nuts when I go to a website and all of a sudden there's a video playing. It's even worse when there's noise to it. Have you ever had that happen where you go to a website and you think you're going to do one thing and you spend 30 seconds just trying to close all the pop-ups and the videos and try and figure out how to clean up the screen? Well, a lot of modern websites have unnecessary flashy animations or autoplay videos because they think, because they're using the latest technology, that it's helping them look more up-to-date or cool or modern. What I do want you to do is use engaging multimedia. Everything on your website should have a purpose, and that primary purpose is convincing people or encouraging or inspiring people to get involved with your cause, to join your email list, to sign up for your newsletter, to show up and volunteer, to submit a form to get services. Engaging multimedia means that you are carefully thinking about every piece of content, every video, every podcast, every blog, every picture on your website, that it's contributing to your mission and that message that you're carrying out into the world. It's not there to be flashy. It's not there to look cool or modern. It's there because it's helping tell your story. Up next, don't spend thousands of dollars hiring an expensive website developer. Unless you have a multi-million-dollar annual budget, most nonprofits do not need to pay for an expensive developer. What you do need to do is you need to choose a website builder so that your website is easy to maintain, it's easy to update by you and your staff. I've got a video coming all about how to choose the best website builder for nonprofits, but what I will say is this. Most nonprofits only need a handful of digital tools to make a tremendous impact in the world. And you do not need to spend thousands of dollars hiring an expensive developer. Also, one of the pitfalls of hiring an expensive developer is they are a developer. They are not a marketer. They are not a nonprofit fundraiser. They are not a cause marketing person. So you're going to get a skill set that is extremely valuable and extremely technical, but they're a developer. When you choose a website builder, you can devote your time and energy to the content and the message and the marketing of your mission instead of having to spend that time managing a developer or spending that money on their costs. Don't focus solely on designing a pretty website. Ooh, you know, the modern era has ushered in all sorts of templates and guides and how-tos, and I'll certainly be talking about nonprofit website design. But I see too many folks spend way too much time on their logo and their branding and making their website look super pretty instead of writing compelling copy. You can have the most simple, clean, bland website and raise tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars with the right message. That's what copy is. That's just a fancy way of saying the message that you're putting out, the words that you're putting on the page. And hey, that's how we communicate, is through language, either written or oral. That's where your time and energy really should be spent. So yes, I'm not saying don't make a terrible looking website, but I am saying spend more time worrying about the copy, the message that you are putting out into the world. I've got videos on that, and I've got more resources for you at marketyourmission.co, all about copywriting, and stay tuned for more videos. Finally, don't ignore page speed scores. Google and other search engines are evaluating how fast your website loads. And you can find this in Google Search Console or Bing Search Tools, Search Webmaster Tools, something like that. You can find this online. Just Google, how do I check my page loading speed? This is so important because the search engines actually penalize sites that don't load quickly enough. That's right, if your website is clunky and takes forever to load, you are losing traffic. Do optimize your website for mobile. Most folks have a smartphone, and most website visitors want to browse your website on their mobile device. And by optimizing for mobile, you are automatically going to improve your page speeds. You're going to choose images that are sized correctly for the site. You're going to avoid unnecessary animations, extra fonts, or plugins that aren't used. You're going to make sure that your website is super streamlined, a lean, mean website machine. All right. Today we talked about the 5 do's and don'ts of nonprofit website design. Let's review them real quickly. No, do not create an inaccessible website. Instead, I want you to design for accessibility. We talked about the incredible purchasing power of people with disabilities, and they are wanting to connect with nonprofits like yours. And we also talked about some tips on how to improve your website's accessibility. Next up, we talked about animations or autoplay video just for the sake of them. That doesn't make your website look modern, it just frustrates your users. Instead, you want to use engaging multimedia that tells the story of your mission and communicates the value you bring to the people you serve. Just say no to spending thousands of dollars on an expensive developer. Yes, you will get an incredible, valuable skill set, but you'll spend more time managing them than choosing a website builder and managing and updating the site yourself. It's actually pretty easy, and I've got more on that soon. Don't focus on making your website super pretty. Instead, focus on writing compelling copy. Yes, the words on your website matter far more than the pretty fonts or the perfect logo. Make sure that it's clean, looks good, and then focus on the words. And finally, don't ignore page speed scores. Say that 10 times fast. You want to use images that are correctly sized for your website and avoid unnecessary animations, unused fonts, or unused plugins. You do want to optimize for mobile. Think about how your site is going to look on mobile first, because that's where the majority of web traffic is heading. Most of us are browsing websites on our phones. All right, if you would like to see some more frequently asked questions around this topic, be sure to click the link below in the description to view this on my website at marketyourmission.co, and stay tuned for my website builder course. You can learn more at marketyourmission.co/website. I'll see you in the next video.